And good morning, Thursday, September 18th, and continuing our study of the book of Matthew. And I'd like to apologize for not posting for the last several days. What with the Charlie Kirk thing and so on, it's just been kind of tough stuff going on. And I don't want to get political. That's not what this channel is all about. But it was a grievous blow to the Christian community, and I don't want to take anything I say to be taken out of context, but when they made a martyr out of the guy, they did us a service. They did a terrible, horrible thing to him and his family. But for his cause, I think they did the opposite of what was intended. And by they, I mean whoever did it. I'm not casting blame on any certain group, despite my suspicions. I'm going to leave them unsaid. Only God knows the truth. But let's jump into Matthew 16, King James Version, as is my want. And where else to start but verse 1. The Pharisees also with the Sadducees came, and tempting desired him that he would shew them a sign from heaven. He answered and said unto them, When it is evening, ye say, It will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowring. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the times? I love that poetry in that, but that's just the translation into English. Anyway, a wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall be no sign be given unto it but the sign of the prophet Jonas. And he left them and departed, and when his disciples were come to the other side, they had forgotten to take bread. And the reason I paused there is because this was mentioned, I believe, in the last chapter. Let me refer back a moment. You do see a lot of overlap into these about because he was talking about signs, and you've already been given a sign by the prophet Jonas. And continuing on, a wicked and adulterous generation seek after a sign, there shall be no sign given to it but the sign of the prophet Jonas. And he left them and departed. And when his disciples were come to the other side, they had forgotten to take bread. Forgive me, getting over a cold, as I mentioned, not feeling well. Then Jesus said unto them, Take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, It is because we have taken no bread. Which when Jesus perceived, he said unto them, O ye of little faith, why reason ye among yourselves, because ye have brought no bread? Do ye not yet understand, neither remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000, and how many baskets ye took up? Neither the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many baskets ye took up? How is it that ye do not understand that I spake it not to you concerning bread, that you should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees? Then understand they how that he bade them not beware of the leaven of the bread, but of the doctrine of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. Now, again, sorry for the sniffles. Maybe I've got this wrong. The 5 loaves of the 5,000 and how many he took up. Either the 7 loaves or the 4,000 and how many baskets he took up. I believe I thought that these were the same event being told twice, but apparently from this context there were 2 events where Jesus fed the masses from relatively little to no food. You don't hear that a lot. I mean, you do hear of Jesus' miracles where he fed the masses from a few loaves and a little fish. But I can't remember it being the times that he fed the masses with a few loaves. Once with only 7, once with only 5. Anyway, I digress. But then understood they how that he bade them not beware of the leaven of the bread, but of the doctrine of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. I can interpret a lot from that. Seems like an implied statement that even if the bread were poison or something, that's not the poison they need to. That Jesus would have extended protection to them if it were poisoned, or at least warned them, or whatever. But he is warning them of the doctrine of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. That there are ways to be poisoned without ingesting literal chemical poisons. Poisoning your faith, poisoning what you believe, poisoning your reality is far more dangerous in the long run. And without getting too political, I do see a lot of societal poisoning going on, people being poisoned psychologically at younger ages, which is in turn poisoning their soul, poisoning their faith, drawing them away from Jesus. Let us pray for them, not here and now, but in your own time. You might know my thoughts on praying in public. Anyway, continuing on. Caption the Great Confession. Verse 13. When Jesus came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they said, Some say thou art John the Baptist, some Elias, and others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. He saith unto them, But whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, you understand my laughter, smile there. Simon Peter was called Simon, answered and said, Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. Well answered, Simon Peter. Verse 17, And Jesus answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. And I say also unto thee, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And this is a classic line that upon this rock, Peter, I will build my church. And I guess this is the turning point where Simon, who is Peter, became Peter, not Simon anymore. And this is where the Catholic Church was ultimately formed. That's why they have St. Peter's Square there at the Vatican today. Anyway, verse 19, to continue the words of Christ, the words in red, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Verse 19, and I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. And this is very powerful, very, very powerful stuff that to this man, not man God, not Son of God, not fleshly God, that he will be given the keys of heaven. You know, he will decide who enters or doesn't, or at least passes the gate. Now that doesn't necessarily mean you're welcome to stay just because you pass the gates, but and whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Now, shalt bind on earth. I mean, there's a few ways to interpret that, but I'm seeing as that as whoever you consecrate as bind holy shall be bound in heaven, shall be decided to be heaven worthy. And whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. And that could go many ways, but basically showing a deep trust and respect and giving great responsibility to Peter. Anyway, verse 20. Then charged he his disciples that they should tell no man that he was Jesus the Christ, because you can't just go around declaring that someone is the Son of God. For one thing, it makes you look like a lunatic. Let's face it, if I were to go around telling you, I am Jesus, then clearly I'm suffering from mental illness or just flat out lying. And I'm sure it was seen very much the same back in those days, except much more extreme, as where blasphemy was actually a crime. It would have you killed instantly. And of course, we know the fate of Jesus himself, which, yes, he was executed, but he also laid his own life down. He allowed that to happen to him. He sacrificed himself. He was martyred. I raised my cup to Charlie Kirk. Anyway, caption True Discipleship. Verse 21. From that time forth began Jesus to shew unto his disciples how that he must go into Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and be raised again the third day. Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto thee. But he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan, thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men. that's kind of ironic because he had just given Peter the keys to heaven, and that what he bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and what loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. But then Jesus turned to Peter and said, "Get thee behind me, Satan." Speaking unto Peter, refers to him, Satan. Now, Satan is also just a translation of adversary. But anytime you see Satan in the King James Version, I mean, it refers to Satan, the embodiment of evil. But clearly he sees Satan working through Peter. And of course, this is also where we get the common, well, I couldn't have told you the book, chapter, or verse, "Get thee behind me, Satan." Interested to know Matthew 16:23. For thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men. Let's go back even further. "Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, an offense unto Christ. For thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men." Let you interpret from that what you will. But those that be of men. Is an offense. Savoring those that be of men is an offense to Jesus. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. See, what's kind of got me ruminating on that is, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men, as opposed to those that be of Satan, or those that be of evil. He's drawing a line between men and God, not good and evil, or God and Satan. And yes, now men are inherently evil, and perhaps that's the gist of this. That's going to require a little prayer from me to discern the exact meaning of that, or fellowship, or fellowship. Verse 24. Then said Jesus unto his disciples, "If any man will come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross and follow me." Kind of an irony where he says take up his cross. But anyway, verse 25, "For whosoever will save his life shall lose it." Sorry for the ambient noise. It's not Jesus' words. Verse 25, "For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. Verily I say unto you, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. There be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Is he saying to his disciples? Well, obviously that's what it said. But is he saying to them, some of you will not die until they see me die and go into heaven? Or conversely, is he saying some of you will be dead, or at least one of you, before the Son of Man coming in his kingdom? And what is he meaning by coming in his kingdom? Does he mean coming to heaven, or coming back and establishing his kingdom? Perhaps I'm losing sight of the message here. Distractions and such in a public place. And that's how the devil works. He will just try to distract you while you're praying, while you're reading from the Bible. But when you're praying, I had someone argue this point to me, and I was talking to God, and God said something to me that I'm not going to share here, but when I shared it with my pastor, I didn't tell him, but it was a profound message that sounded like something Satan would say, if misinterpreted, I guess. So I asked my pastor, I said, can Satan hitchhike on prayer? And because he told me what I was hearing was not from God. I said, well, how can that be? I was praying, I was talking directly to God, and God was talking back to me. Sure, that classifies me as a lunatic. But, I didn't hear words. I felt a sense of communication. And I took this to other pastors, and they said, no. The devil does not have power to pretend to, while you're talking to God, to answer as God. So I take that message I got from God as truth, God speaking to me. But the message he gave me was not, I guess, what the original pastor interpreted it as. Okay, I'll share it. The message I got was to the effect of, you've done enough. And this is a couple of years ago. This is where we've been doing the God Hour stuff. But I think the message was, you've done enough. You don't have to stress so hard about it. But is doing enough all you want to do? I mean, do you only want to work enough to not get fired, or do you want to work hard enough to get promoted and gain raises and so on and so on, which is what I do want. So having done enough doesn't mean that's all I want to do. Anyway, that concludes Matthew 16. It's good to be back. Shall see you soon. And I need to get myself to work. God bless you all. Have a great day. R.I.P. Charlie Kirk. And your comments and everything are welcome as always. See you later.